Whoa! Megan, Cinco de Mayo, May the 5th. And wow, on fire today. Finally, it has sunk into you that your party has moved on without you. Your big tent Republican Party doesn't give a shit about what you think. They are only interested in the MAGAs. This show has been saying it all year, and you've refused to listen. When it's been suggested in the past that the GOP needs to figure out a way forward, you have said very specifically, we don't need anyone to tell us how to run our party. We'll do it. We can fix it on our own. You even reiterated it either this week or last week. We've got this. We don't need anyone to tell us how to do this. Well, okay. You today on television said to your four co-hosts, what am I supposed to do? If your party said there's no room for you, what would you do? Well, I guess you need help trying to fix that. I would come to the realization that the party doesn't actually stand for the same values that you do, and stop voting for those people. Stop being so tribal about your GOP. And I love that you said, well, I can't vote Democrat. I'm not going to do that. So then be a lady lost a C. You have to be able to make a choice. It's what our democracy affords us the opportunity and also forces us to do. Sometimes you don't like the choices that are available. You have to pick the best one you can find. And in case you haven't figured it out, the Republicans who think like you do are shunned by their own colleagues because it's a MAGA party now. So your tirade on the whole thing was just so sweet. And to see all of your co-hosts be able to say what they've been saying, but even with further fervor, and you have nothing to say in return. You just had to sit there and agree with it because you know it's true. The GOP is lying. Not only just about the election results, about the coronavirus, about what their actual intent is, because it's not to govern. They do not want to govern. And they don't care about small government. They care about power and money and blaming it all on the liberals. That's it. That's their shtick. So, I can't wait to see how this plays out because they are going to vote on Liz Cheney again. And every single person in the country who has a representative in Congress that is a Republican should be wildly ashamed and should be doing everything that they possibly can to remove that Republican from office. Because they're liars. And it's a cult. Anyway, so we moved on from that joyful experience of your utter dismay and outburst. Like this hasn't occurred to you before. It hasn't been told to you over and over again. And now suddenly, because you identify with the daughter of a politician and she's getting her ass kicked by a bunch of Confederate junkies, finally sinks in with you. What did we talk about after that? Trump and the Facebook. Look, in this sense, I kind of agree with you in in that middle ground area. On the one hand, I don't like the idea of cutting off people's ability to communicate. But I do agree that when you've used your voice and your platform and your influence for harm, there comes a point when you can no longer be trusted with that platform, and a reduction in your influence becomes necessary. So I don't disagree with them saying, you know what, we don't want this on our platform, but they should be doing it a little more consistently. There's things that Sean Hannity and fucker Tarleton, they don't need to be disseminated on Facebook either. They're lying. They're just flat out lying and whipping up vitriol about things that are untrue. It's not silencing conservative voices at all on Facebook, because there's the vast majority of things that are shared are conservative media posts. So he's got his stupid micro blog on his website. He'll reach his people. There are ways to find out what he's saying. If you want to hear what the enemy is saying, there are ways to find it. And you don't have to go to 4chan and the dark places on the web. Like, he's putting it right on his website. It's not that difficult to find. Your concern over big tech is just a funny one, considering how much you fucking value Twitter. Like, you live and die by what Twitter says, when it's a small portion of the population that's paying attention to Twitter. And it's filled with profiles of entities that don't exist. It's just manufactured response coming from AI. It's not people engagement in so much of the instances, but that's okay. Well, it's not okay, but Twitter does seem to define your idea of what the greater group think is, which I think is just ridiculous, because it's a small sliver of the population. Oh, and then we talked about marriage stuff, and you're like, I'm a talker. You got in trouble in the 7th grade for talking too much. Shocker. When you should have been at listening. That's the thing. When people are trying to impart wisdom and educate you, that's when you shut up and listen. But you can't. And talking is only half the equation of communicating. The other half is listening, actively processing it. If all you're doing is talking, you're never going to get the input to actually resolve the thing that you're talking about. Much like not understanding that the Republican Party moved on without you, until it somehow clicked in for you last night, you said. You weren't listening because you're terrible at that.